Morning, friends. It's well known in a prison context that veterans are quite a significant part of the population. And we had quite a remarkable experience in the group today. And if you've ever seen some of those videos from the Second World War, I suppose, of shell shock, and if you can imagine that kind of shuddering, shaking kind of presentation, um, and it's quite a frail looking man. I'm not sure he's that old, but perhaps in his 60s, and could hardly speak really. And we couldn't really understand what he was saying. And at some point, just after the group where we come out of our silence, we had 25 minutes and it was very peaceful. And one of the men said something to this chap, kind of made a connection and said that he thought he'd seen him a few years ago, but that he seemed really calm and at peace today. And I must admit, I thought it was quite a worrying intervention comment, really. Afterwards, after a meeting, you don't really want to comment on other people like that. Um, but it seemed to be okay. And then a bit later on, we still couldn't really hear or understand his words. He was kind of just not actually forming words. But at some point in the conversation over tea and coffee around the table, he started showing us his tattoos, and he had one there and one there and one there. And then he got into his stride and put his leg on the table and hiked up his trouser leg and showed us one on his calf. And it seemed to be a military tattoo. And there was a kind of a hush, really, a pause of recognition amongst us at the table that this is perhaps somebody who's seen some horrors. And again, the younger man who had made a connection with him said something, held his gaze a bit and said something, you've seen some stuff, And what happened was, as we were getting ready to leave and we're all milling around, this veteran kind of quite shakily, but went up to this younger man and kind of held out his hand in quite an unclear way, actually, as to what he was seeking. But this guy did ever so well. He shook his hand and actually put his arm around him and just stood with him for a minute. It was such a poignant moment. And you could see that, the veteran was kind of tearful and breaking down, really. And it's a very special moment, and it's just an honor just to be there, really, and to see these miracles happen.